जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा श्रीला प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा 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 जय गुरुदेवा Hare Krishna. Welcome to New Dwarka, the home of Shri Rukmani Dwarkadhish. How many of you here for the very first time today? Please raise your hands. All right. Everyone knows what Krishna stands for? Okay. Okay, good. You got the answer. All right. So we will be talking something from the Gita today. And this is your servant, Nandini Radha Devi Dasi at your service. Today I have prepared a special presentation on Krishna's plan versus my plan. So Krishna is the name of God because the word Krishna stands for the most attractive and God is the most attractive. So we will be reading from chapter 11, which is entitled The Universal Form, texts 33 and 34. So please have a look at the screen here. Everything is going to be projected on this screen. So I'm going to read 11:33 first. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedant Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 11 entitled The Universal Form, text 33. Tasmatvam utishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshava rajyam samridham Mayai vaite nihataha purvam eva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Please respond. Therefore, get up. Prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement. And you, O Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Savyasachin refers to one who can shoot arrows very expertly in the field. Thus, Arjun is addressed as an expert warrior capable of delivering arrows to kill his enemies. Just become an instrument. Nimitta matram. This word is also very significant. The whole world is moving according to the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Foolish persons who do not have sufficient knowledge think that nature is moving without a plan, and all manifestations are but accidental formations. There are many so-called scientists who suggest that perhaps it was like this or maybe like that, but there is no question of perhaps and maybe. There is a specific plan being carried out in this material world. What is this plan? This cosmic manifestation is a chance for the conditioned souls to go back to Godhead, back to home. As long as they have the domineering mentality which makes them try to lord it over material nature, they are conditioned. But anyone who can understand the plan of the Supreme Lord and cultivate Krishna consciousness is most intelligent. The creation and destruction of the cosmic manifestation are under the superior guidance of God. Thus, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of God. Arjun was refusing to fight, but he was told that he should fight in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Lord. Then he would be happy. If one is in full Krishna consciousness and his life is devoted to the Lord's transcendental service, he is perfect. And 1134 continues, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and the other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. So in 1133 in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has written that everything is moving according to the plan of the Lord Krishna. So we're going to base this particular class on plans here. So please bear with me as we dissect the whole issue of our plan versus Krishna's plan. So we make our plans, but Krishna has his own plan here. So what is the definition of a plan? We'll start with that. It's a detailed proposal as gathered from the dictionary. It's a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something. It's an intention or decision about what one is going to do. And so we're going to talk into 4 separate sections here. 1, why are plans made? 2, what dictates the types of plans that we make? 3, who is responsible for the execution of these plans? And finally, what plans are likely to fail? So before that, let's look at Krishna's plan for me and then look at my plan for myself. So Krishna's plan is the big blue circle and my plan is a little red circle. So Krishna has very gigantic plans for me, very huge plans for me. And we can know about Krishna's plan through the assistance of the books, through our spiritual masters, and through the guidance of the devotees of the Lord here. So my plan, whatever plan I make for myself, can be very small in comparison to Krishna's plan. And in terms of quality, it can be actually very poor. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So there are 3 options here in terms of my plan and Krishna's plan. And what are those options? We're going to look at them a little bit briefly here. The first option is, I implement just a small part of Krishna's plan in my life. Just a little bit, not the whole thing, not the whole blue circle. And there is a slight overlap between my plan and Krishna's plan. So I do not adopt the entire plan of Krishna. I take a little bit of it, whatever suits me based on my understanding, but the majority of the other part is my own plan. So we take a little bit of what God wants me to do, but the rest is up to me. The second option is where my plan is completely embedded in Krishna's plan. You can see the red circle is completely within the blue circle. So this is a full overlap. That means I am fully surrendered to Krishna's plan and I follow his plan. I understand his plan and I want to be part of that plan. So my plan is completely aligning with Krishna's plan. And the third option, which a lot of people in the world adopt today, in fact the majority of them adopt, is this one. My plan is completely separate from God's plan. And his plan does not fit into my life's goals. So you can see my plan, the red circle, is far, far away from the blue circle, Krishna's plan here. So Krishna has given us the choice. Which option do we want to adopt? Do we want to align our plan with his, or do we want to separate ourselves from his instruction? And we'll see what happens when we do either of these here. But first, let's look at elements of Krishna's plan. So in Bhagavad Gita, for those of you who have not yet read it or who don't have a book, I strongly encourage you to get a copy of this book. This is a book which provides you education about everything in life. How to lead your life, how not to lead your life, and where we will go after our life ends. There's a lot of content in this book here. So Krishna's plan is basically based on three major elements, which I have dissected here. First, Krishna says, have faith in my words. Trust me. What I am instructing you, just have faith in my words and follow my instructions. And this is written in 9.3. I'm just going to read the English. The Lord says, those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. And likewise, in 17.3, the Lord says, O son of Bharat, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So the big issue here is faith. We have to have faith in God's words. We have to have that. The second element is surrendering to the Lord. Krishna says in 18.66, please surrender unto him. I'll take questions later after the talk. Thank you. 1866 says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This is Krishna saying. This is the second element of his plan. And the third element of his plan, which is very important for us as aspiring devotees, is to render devotional service to the Lord, as indicated in 12.2. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. So three elements: faith, surrender, and service. These three elements are part of Krishna's plan. And if we want to completely align our plan with Krishna's plan, we need to be engaged in these three elements. But now, what do we do? What does our plan depend on? These are elements of my plan. In general, as conditioned souls in the material world, I have faith in my strength and my skills, in my capacities. I am not willing to surrender to anyone. Forget about God. I'm not even willing to surrender to any living entity here. And third, serving the material energy, because the material energy is illusory in nature and is providing me a sense of happiness. And that sense of happiness is absolutely temporary, and it's just a flickering light in a very small span of time here. And in Gita 7.15, it is mentioned individuals who are miscreants. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. And in text 7.14, very important text by the way, this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So is everyone clear about the distinction, what Krishna wants us according to his plan, and what I design my plan based on my capacity, based on thinking that I am capable of doing this, I have the education, I have the beauty, I have the strength, I have the knowledge, and so forth. So now, let's move to part number 2. Why do we make plans? We all make plans. Everyone agrees? Is there anyone who does not make a plan here? Okay, so we all make plans here. And why do we make plans? For a variety of reasons. One, to gain something. We make a plan to gain something financial, to be in a special social structure, to gain education, to gain intelligence, to have some emotional input. We make all kinds of plans here. Second reason why we make plans is to have some kind of discipline in our life, some kind of systematic strategies in our life, organization and system. And thirdly, we make plans for a rainy day. Rainy day means unprecedented experiences. So when we look at the weather and we know tomorrow the forecast is a storm, we try to take an umbrella or a raincoat. That's our plan based on what the circumstances are coming to us. So Ravan, everyone knows who is Ravan? He's a demon who was actually killed and liberated by Lord Ram. So Ravan wanted to build a staircase up till the heavenly planet. He was actually interested in reaching the heavenly planet by building a golden staircase. And of course, that plan was based on his own sense of understanding that I am the most powerful and nobody can defeat me. But of course, we do know that staircase never materialized, and that is impossible to happen. You cannot build a staircase from the planet Earth to the planet Heaven. Second part is what dictates the kind of plans we made. How do we decide, I want to make this plan or I want to make that plan? What is the impetus behind it? Several factors again. The plans which provide us the best sensory perceptions is something that we will adhere to, something that gives me happiness either through my 5 senses or through my intelligence. We plan something accordingly. Second is quest for recognition and distinction. So we plan something. I plan to get a medical degree from, Yale or Stanford because I want the best degree and I want to be recognized when I get forward in my career. So we make plans where we can rise in society. Third, the attachment to our family members, our near and dear ones, our loved ones. We make all kinds of plans so that they are happy and we are all also happy because they are happy. And lastly, this is what most companies are doing here. We make plans which require minimum input but produce the maximum output. That means highest benefit for minimum endeavor. So we're looking for cheap bargains here. Let me put little effort, but let me get the best out of this effort. So we are all planning this. You look at this, the entire exploitation on this planet is going on the last principle. Let me do a little bit of work, but let me get the best out of it. And that is actually destroying our planet at this point. Third is, who is responsible for the execution of these plans? So I am making my plans, Krishna is making his plans. Who is responsible? So 3 elements that we need to question ourselves. Is it me? Am I responsible for the execution of my plans? Why? Because Krishna has given me free will. Free will means I get to decide what I want to do. Krishna has given me my free will. He says, you're independent, do whatever you want. You make the decision, but you'll be responsible for the karmic reactions because you made that decision. Or are the material modes of nature responsible for the execution of this plan? Why? These three material modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are always circling around me and they're playing an influence around me. So are they responsible for the execution? And lastly, or is it Krishna who is responsible for the execution of all my plans? It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 7:21 and 9:26. Not a blade of grass moves without the will of Krishna. Not even a single particle of dust can move without the grace of the Lord. So execution of the plans can be happening as a result of various factors that I've just discussed here. And lastly, what plans are likely to fail? We make all kinds of plans, but it is mentioned here very, very nicely. Man proposes and God disposes. That's a very common statement here. So what plans are likely to fail? Those plans that do not align with Krishna's will are most likely to fail. If Krishna does not sanction anything, that is not going to happen. Those plans that are based on vikarma means actions which are prohibited in our scriptures, in the Vedas, and those are rejected by the authority of the Vedas. And if those are ones which are not sanctioned by the Vedas, those plans are not likely to succeed. Thirdly, those plans that are based on irreligion, they are also not likely to succeed because they are based on adharma. Remember, failure can come sooner or later. Regarding our plans, they may fail. It's not a question of if, but it's just a question of when. If our plans are not aligning with Krishna's plan, it's likely that there is going to be a failure sooner or later. So let's give some examples from the scriptures of personalities who made wonderful plans, but all those plans failed. There's lots and lots of examples. I have just taken a very few number of examples just to impress upon you that if we do not align our plan with Krishna's sanction, they are all going to fail. So let's look at them here. The first plan was Duryodhan. Duryodhan is the oldest of the Kauravas, and we all know this book came about as a result of the battle of Kurukshetra between the Pandavas, who represent good, and the Kauravas, who represent the bad or the evil. And Duryodhan is on the side of adharma. So when Krishna asked Arjun and Duryodhan, who were both in Krishna's room at the same time, Krishna said, I am willing to give you my army, or I can give myself to you. Choose what you want. And Duryodhan, because he was unintelligent and very foolish, he asked for Krishna's army. And by the way, Krishna's army is billions of soldiers and elephants and horses and so forth. And Krishna says, so be it. And Arjun said, oh my Lord, I want you. But Lord had told him, I will not fight in this battle. I will not fight. I will simply drive your chariot and I will not raise any weapons. Despite knowing that, Arjun wanted Krishna. So that is Arjun's intelligence. So Duryodhan had Krishna's entire army, yet he lost the battle. Why? Because Krishna's sanction was towards Arjun. So that's a plan which failed miserably. Despite having so many wonderful generals in his army, such Drona, like Kripacharya, Bhishma, still he failed. Secondly, we know Ravan, he had received great boons and benedictions from Lord Shiva. Ravan was actually a very scholarly personality, but he was guided by envy, greed, lust, and so he was classified as a demon. And he had all the might and power, and he had lots and lots of magical tools, yet all this could not protect him, and Lord Ram was able to completely vanquish him. Thirdly, we all know the witch Putana came to so-called kill baby Krishna through poison, through her breastfeeding strategy. And despite giving poison to baby Krishna, who got killed? Putana herself got killed. So this is a plan that she had. The plan was given by Kansa, who sent Putana, but it was a miserable failure. So even in Krishna's childhood pastimes, all the demons who came under the instruction of Kansa, all the demons failed because those plans were not sanctioned by the Lord. And finally, in some very recent time, there is a personality known as Ramachandran Khan, a very evil personality, who wanted to insult Srila Haridas Thakur, a pure devotee of the Lord. And he recruited beautiful ladies to actually malign him, and yet he failed. So these are just very few examples of plans that failed because in each one of these cases, Krishna's sanction was not there, Krishna's will was not there, and Krishna was not in the center. In fact, all the plans here were inimical to either Krishna himself or Krishna's pure devotees, and hence all these plans failed. Now on the opposite side, what are the plans that worked? We know the plan that worked. Arjun simply had Krishna on his side, not his army. And Krishna did not even fight, yet the Pandavas won the battle. So that is because Krishna's sanction was there. Srila Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of Lord Krishna, wrote the absolutely wonderful Bhagavad Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is mentioned, he wrote cantos 1 to 9, huge effort, and yet he was not satisfied. And then he was told by his spiritual master, you should describe the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And so he wrote canto 10. And after writing that, he was fully satisfied. Why? Because Krishna was placed in the center in canto 10. That's where the sweet nectarian pastimes of the Lord are described. And another example is when Srila Rupa Goswami and Sri Sanatan Goswami wanted to go and meet Lord Chaitanya, it is mentioned that Srila Sanatan Goswami had a plan to get out of the jail by bribing the jailer through money. And this plan worked beautifully. Why? Because Krishna was in the center of his plan. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. And so these are some examples of plans that actually worked as well as plans that failed here. But what is the hard reality in our life? The hard reality for us as we make plans is we have to remember we are not perfect. We are all imperfect, by the way. Why are we imperfect? We are conditioned souls who are present in the material world, and all of us have 4 defects, and those defects are listed there. We all have imperfect senses. We have a tendency to cheat. We have a tendency to be in illusion. That is the service that Maya is rendering to Lord Krishna, and that's her service to him. And finally, we all have a tendency to make mistakes. So these 4 defects are with every living entity who is embodied. That means conditioned in the material world. Second hard reality is we are all guided by the material modes of nature. And the modes of nature are in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. And they're always playing around us, just like somebody who is in the ocean and all the waves are hitting that person, sometimes left, sometimes right, sometimes drowning him, sometimes re-emerging. Likewise, these modes are constantly playing around us. Sometimes we get impacted by ignorance and we make the wrong decisions in life. Sometimes the passion mode takes over and we become very over-enthusiastic or aggressive. And sometimes the goodness mode takes over, where we are very calm and peaceful and we make very calculated and determined decisions. So all these are playing around us. Nobody can escape these. Third hard reality is Maya. Krishna's inferior energy, her job is to keep us away from Krishna, and she's actually doing an amazing job. This is her service to the Lord. Her job is to keep us trapped in the illusory energy and make us feel that we belong to this world. This is my body and this is my enjoyment and there's nothing beyond it. And she's doing quite an amazing job for all the 7 billion people on this planet right now. There's only a few of us who are trying to fight Maya here, essentially, by the grace of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And finally, the hard reality is all of us because we identify ourselves with our body, because Krishna has given us intelligence, because Krishna has given us strength, we feel we are the controllers, we are the owners, we are the proprietors, and we are the enjoyer. As long as these four hard realities are existing in this material world, it is very difficult for us to make progress towards self-realization. But there is a silver lining behind all the clouds. We do know that, and that comes through a sincere quest for self-realization. It is mentioned that when we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes how many steps? 10 steps towards us, or even 100 steps, or even 1,000 steps. All he is asking is to show a very sincere and loving desire to approach him here. So it is also mentioned that behind everything that we plan, behind every action that we are conducting, there are 5 main factors. The place of action, which is the body, the performer, which is me, the senses, my 5 gross and 3 subtle senses, the endeavor, my efforts, and finally, the super soul. Now, amongst all these 5, without the sanction of the last one, nothing is going to happen. So everyone has to understand, no matter how hard I try, no matter how intelligent I am, without the sanction of the Lord, nothing is going to happen here. So what happens when we make plans and those plans are not realized and they are completely frustrated and we are unsuccessful? So what do frustrated plans lead to? I'm sure all of us have made plans, and sometimes our plans work, which is great, because those plans may have noble outcomes tied to them. Those plans may be beneficial to the society. Those plans may be doing good for others, and Krishna sanctions them. But there are plans which are not sanctioned and they lead to frustration because they have failed. What happens when plans don't work out? Emotionally, what do we go through when we made this huge plan for years and years and then suddenly it fails in like a moment or span of few weeks? What are the emotions that we go through? Frustration, disappointment, anger, anxiety, yes. So lots of negative elements actually overtake our intellect. So I'm just going to mention a few here, just a few with some examples here, when plans failed. One, when plans fail, the example again I'm giving is of Ravan. Intensified lust. We do know Ravan kidnapped the energy of the Lord in the form of Mother Sita, and he was forcing her to become his wife. And she completely denied, and she says, no, I am completely dedicated to my Lord, Lord Ram. You dare not even touch me. So it is mentioned that Ravan had so many plans to make Mother Sita bend to him. He employed different kinds of demonesses. He enticed her saying that you'll become my chief queen. I will give you all the benefits and all the opulences. And he could not win Mother Sita. And so Ravan's lust got more and more intensified as his plans were constantly getting frustrated. Secondly, when plans fail, it can lead to anger. And again, from Ramayana, we know Shrupnakha, who is the sister of Ravan, when she saw Lord Ram, she fell in love with him, so-called fell in love with him. She was very attracted to him in a lusty manner. And she wanted him as her husband. And so she went to him and says, I want you. And Lord Ram says, not possible, because in this form, I have vowed to have only one wife, and I'm already married, that is Mother Sita. And this angered Shrupnakha extensively, because she's a demoness. And what did she do? She went running to her brother, Ravan, and she instigated Ravan saying that there is a very beautiful woman and she's completely meant for you. And that's how the whole cycle of Ravan wanting Mother Sita started here. So, because Shrupnakha's plan failed, she became extremely angry. It can also lead to envy. It is mentioned Duryodhan did not even give Pandavas a piece of land equivalent to the size of the tip of a pin. What to speak of the kingdom. And then the Pandavas were given a very barren piece of land. And with the grace of Vishwakarma, who is the celestial architect, he made a beautiful kingdom for them known as Indraprastha. And Duryodhan was invited to come and see Indraprastha, which was absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And it is mentioned Duryodhan was completely undertaken by envy. Why? Because he thought his Hastinapur was the best. But when he saw Indraprastha, he became extremely envious. How did the Pandavas manage to build such a stunningly opulent kingdom? So his plan not to give anything to the Pandavas backfired, because the Pandavas got something much more than what Hastinapur could offer at that time, Indraprastha. And finally, when plans fail, it can also lead to greed for more. And this is the classic example of Hiranyakashipu, who was praying very ardently to Lord Brahma, and he outrightly asked Lord Brahma, make me immortal. I don't want to die. And Lord Brahma said, that is impossible. I myself am not immortal, so how can I give you something that I don't have myself? And so Hiranyakashipu became very greedy, and he came with this very twisted requests from Lord Brahma, and we know all about that, not die in the day or the night, inside, outside, through weapons and so forth. So this greed, his plan to become immortal failed because Lord Brahma could not give him that benediction. So he became greedy and asked for all these other elements. But again, he failed. How? Lord Narasimhadev came and actually satisfied all of Lord Brahma's blessings, and at the same time killed Hiranyakashipu. So we do know plans fail and plans succeed. And successful plans are sometimes so bewildering that how is this possible? They almost look like miracles. And the miracles, some of the example which I've taken is our own founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. He came to the US, completely foreign country, at the age of almost 70 years. 70 years is an age where people move to retirement homes, and they are actually looked after by much younger people. And this is the age where Srila Prabhupada actually came as a soldier to fight Maya in the US. And he established more than 108 temples in a span of very short period. And he translated voluminous scriptures with minimal resources. We know how his tape recorder was also stolen. And he started a movement using just a pair of cymbals, kartals, sitting under a tree. Isn't that a miracle? It's impossible to conceive that such an amazing movement could start simply by the chant of the holy name sitting under the tree. And then he also implemented the power of prasadam, sanctified food offered to the Lord. So many people have come to Krishna consciousness simply by eating one laddu or one cookie. And that is the power of prasad. We should never ever offend prasad, because that is Krishna himself. So we should always honor prasadam. So finally, the last 2-3 slides is, this is an ever going question, and there is no clear-cut answer here. Is my suffering due to my destiny karma, or is that Krishna's plan for me? So Krishna, remember, God is always thinking the best for me, always, no matter what. Superficially, it may feel that I am in pain, I am in grief, I have lost my loved ones. Why is Krishna doing this to me? He is so cruel, he's so hard-hearted, but that's not the case. Krishna always wants the best for us. But he has his ways of bringing a sincere devotee close to him. And we should not interfere with that plan. When Krishna sees that we have a sincere desire to surrender unto him, then he will arrange a plan that will allow us to be detached of all these so-called distractions around me, and will lead to purification of my conditionings. That may take a few weeks, that may take a few lifetimes, depending on our sincere desire. And it is mentioned Krishna takes away our distractions slowly but surely. And finally, it is very important to understand, rather than focusing on the cause, why did this happen to me? Why am I suffering so much? We should focus more on the purpose. What is the purpose of me suffering? For instance, the classic example is Maharaj Parikshit. Great king, great devotee of the Lord. But something took over and he put a snake on Shringi's neck. His father's neck. And Shringi, the Brahman's son, actually cursed him and said, you will die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird. So Maharaj Parikshit, rather than saying, what was the cause for this? Why am I chastised? Why am I being cursed to die in 7 days? What did he do? He took something else. He surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord and he approached Shukadev Goswami and said, please in 7 days tell me everything about the Lord. So the purpose of Maharaj Parikshit, rather than focusing on the cause, we should focus on the purpose. Why did he go through this? So that the Bhagavatam could be spoken for our benefit here. So what is Krishna's ultimate plan for me? Krishna wants us to go back to him. He is our father, after all. So a father is always looking for a child who is truant, who is a rebel, and the father always wants the child back. Krishna wants to reinstate me in my constitutional position. And what is my constitutional position? Always subordinate to the Lord, always a servant of the Lord. After all, this place where am I residing is simply a temporary residence. Krishna wants to free me from all dualities of life. Happiness, grief, light, dark, and so forth. All these dualities which are impinging upon me. In fact, I'm always meant to be happy and blissful. But we cannot be happy here while we are conditioned. We have to get out of this world to be given the pure happiness. And finally, Krishna's always protecting me from all dangers, although we may not realize it, but Krishna is protecting me. What appears to my eye may not necessarily be what it is. So remember, Krishna's ultimate plan for me is to be released from this cycle of birth and death. So how do I align my plan with Krishna's plan? This is the final solution. How do I align it? Number one principle, focus on simple living and high thinking. Not high living and complicated thinking. That's not going to help us. In fact, this is Srila Prabhupada has mentioned so often in his books. Simple living, high thinking, automatically the vices of lust, anger, greed, envy, they'll be eroded. Because when we are living simply, we're not lusting for anything, we're not greedy for anything, we're not envious of people because we are living very simply. So automatically all these vices over a period of time will escape me. Always seek shelter. Instructions from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Why? They have seen the truth and they actually live the truth. They practice what they preach. So we have to take shelter of the books, we have to take shelter of our teachers sitting here, we have to take shelter of our spiritual masters. Thirdly, very, very important in our Sangha is we need to associate with the right kind of people. In this case, if we want to start loving Krishna, we have to associate with the devotees of Krishna because they provide us a positive impetus to approach Krishna. That means Sangha is extremely important. And equally important is Seva. To keep our mind and body controlled and reined in, we have to perform service to Guru and all the Vaishnavas and the deity. That is a good way of controlling ourselves. And this can be done by following the 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga. We will not go over this, but the most important stage, the first stage is developing faith in the Lord. If we do not have faith in the Lord's words, there is no way we can go down all the other 8 stages of Bhakti Yoga. Because the number one element here, as mentioned in Nectar of Instruction, which is right here by Srila Rupa Goswami, is the 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga. Shraddha is very, very important. Without faith, we cannot move forward. And finally, how do we go back to that blue circle? We may make millions of plans, hundreds of plans, but as long as our plans, whether they're small or they're large or they're tiny or they are gigantic, as long as these plans are embedded in Krishna's plans, we will be safe, we will be protected, and in all likelihood, our plans will be successful only by the grace of Krishna. So the take-home message is, please make plans. I'm not telling anyone not to make plans and just randomly sit and expect things to come. After this class, you'll have to walk outside, you'll have to go to the Prasadam hall, you'll have to pick up a plate and you'll have Prasadam. You cannot sit here and meditate and say, okay, the Prasadam is going to come flowing to me. It's not going to happen. So you have to make a plan. We have to make plans in our life. So if you make financial plans, nothing wrong. you earn the money, but you use the money in Krishna's service. That means you give a part of it to Krishna and the devotees. If you're making social plans, you do things that will benefit the society at large. And the best thing that we can give for the upliftment of society is giving them knowledge. And we have my very, very senior Shiksha Guru sitting here amongst us, His Grace Brigupati Prabhu. He's been doing this for the past 45, 50 years. And so this is what we should follow his footsteps, because he's following the instructions of Guru Sadhu Shastra and dedicated entire life for the upliftment of society by giving them the knowledge. And do make plans for emotional. We love our children, we love our parents. There's nothing wrong in that. Provided we see Krishna in each one of them, we are loving Krishna through them. So make your heart really soft. Don't be hard-hearted. Why? You have to make a nice soft place where Krishna can come and sit permanently. And organize your life around Krishna's pleasure. Follow the regulative principles. Become disciplined. Chant and serve. And finally, which is a sobering thought, is be ready for the final exam when it comes. Our entire life should be modulated in such a way that when the final exam comes, by the way, that can come in a very unprecedented manner. It can come unannounced, anytime, any day, any minute, which is death. So if we are always remembering Krishna's Smaranam, at the time of death, we will be able to pass the exam. That means remembering Krishna and eventually receiving liberation to be able to serve the Lord, hopefully in his abode, if not in any other abode where we can constantly keep on serving him in whatever form we have been assigned to. So I'd like to end here by showing you, it says, "O Krishna, if I lose my hope, please remind me that your plans are better than mine." Sometimes a delay in your plan is actually Krishna's protection. So have to be ready for this. And finally, I end with a quote by our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Be very humble when you plan so that Krishna is happy with you. So remember, this is a very instructive message that when we make a plan, we should not be guided by pride. We should make plan in a mood of humility. And Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna does not like to see his sincere devotee suffer or become frustrated or depressed. He will not stand idly by in any such case. So do not fear on that account. Krishna has got some plan for you. Always think in that way. And very soon, he will provide everything to your heart's desire. I think these are extremely optimistic and positive statements. So we have to have faith in Krishna's plan for us. With that, I will end my talk here. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'm not sure because we have exceeded the time, so whether there's time for question, I can take the question later, maybe one-on-one, because I don't want to delay everyone's prasadam here. So thank you so much for your attention. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
This was excellent, excellent.
Thank you. You're always praising me.
No.
And the pride is going my head now. Very nice song. Very nice. You're also praising me. Let me get a blessing.
He explained everything so nice.
It's very simple.
But you become so sad.
I made so many plans the last 2 months, and some of them failed miserably. So I said, let me talk about
But
it.
that's the way that you explain in really simple terms. Very simple English, so I understand. Some don't work sometimes, but it is wonderful. My English is not that good, but you explain.
As long as we understand, that's
No,
all.
you are so simple and everything comes to mind.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you very much.
gratifying. No, no, no.
Thank you. Right now, you are the big